right, let me hear you.
Are we going to have these balls and stuff here?
Oh, actually, like, what is it? Every house we go into has the balls.
It's just.
What is it with women and balls? And I'm not saying that as like a 14-year-old.
No, because I hate
it's
balls.
Like
but these are fine.
The bowl of balls, literally.
It's like decorative, and it like adds texture to the table. It doesn't matter
where you are in the country.
It's true. It's a decorative staple kind of in a lot of places. It just adds texture to the table.
Okay.
Do you want it or not?
Yeah, leave it.
Well, you're complaining about it though.
I'm just curious, like what the big allure is. Like
they're just like different. They're different colors. They look interesting.
Like if you go into every man cave, it's not all the same shit. It's
it's
not all New York Giants.
It is all ugly leather couches, stupid black desks. It's all the same. I can show me.
It's not the same.
Show me a ugly black leather couch, and I'll show you a man cave.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey listeners, ever wonder what it would be like to blow up your comfort zone at the tender age of 50? Well, we did just that. When our last kid went off to college, we hit the road in search of a new hometown. Now we bounce from city to city and bring you along for the ride. This is the Skip Town All-Stars podcast.
What's up, All-Stars? Welcome back for another exciting episode of Skip Town. We got a special one for you today. We had a little weekend getaway. Feeling good?
I am. I'm feeling really good. It's funny because we do travel a lot, so it's kind of weird to say that we had a weekend getaway.
Yeah.
But in our travels, we're looking at homes. We're seeing if it's an area that, would fit our family. So we're doing a lot of recon.
Right.
And it doesn't always feel like a vacation.
No.
Like even though we're seeing sights and we're taking in the area, we're not like just chilling.
No, normally not actually.
Not at all. And like we're always thinking about the show and what to include and all of that. And whatever city we're in, we're like, okay, we want to talk about this. So this weekend was kind of like, let's just get away and do something fun for the two of us. And I thought it was really nice.
And the best thing of all is we actually got to go to a place you and I have, like, it's been burning a hole in our calendar.
I know.
Ever since we arrived in Florida. It's like we wanted to go to, that part of Florida, the one that everybody thinks that they're getting when they come here, which is Key West. So great. We finally made it there. I thought we would have been there, honestly, by December of last year. So
yeah, we talked about the Florida Keys quite a bit, like kept saying that we're going to do a weekend away. Like originally, I don't know if you remember, but when we first landed in Florida, we said we're going to go to the Keys, and then a hurricane hit 3 days later. So we decided to do it. And our friends, Carly and Mike from Los Angeles, joined us because when you live in California, making a flight to the Florida Keys is quite a task. So generally people that live in California will do Mexico. Yeah. And people that live on the East Coast do the Keys or the Bahamas.
Or the Caribbean, yeah.
So for them to come out and join us for our weekend was so much fun.
So I'm really glad you and Carly put the trip together. We actually needed it. I know it doesn't sound like it. We're doing a travel podcast. We're going to all these places and it's like, oh, boo-hoo. But I do find that like we tend to fill our days. It's so weird because you would think life would be getting calmer, for lack of a better word. And we just, between your aspirations and mine, we just pack shit in. Mm-hmm. It's like the days are full.
I think that is common with every couple, especially if you have kids. And I think that we both did think that our lives would be a little less hectic, a little less crazed and packed when we left Los Angeles. But the truth is we're still parents. Mm-hmm. We're still a married couple. We still have bills. We still have obligations. And this podcast is one of them. And finding a home is another. And I think we just traded some busy tasks and busy obligations for other busy obligations. So we're kind of right where we were. And I think that can create problems with a lot of couples. And, like people always ask, because James and I have been married now for, almost 25 years. Mm-hmm. And so people will ask all the time, well, one, how do you not get sick of each other on the road, which we've talked about in the past, but two, like, how do you make it work? And I do have to say, we definitely put emphasis on spending time with each other. I think I put more emphasis on it than he does because he's legitimately a workaholic. And so I'm the one that will say, hey, let's go to a movie. Hey, let's do this. But there have been times where I have been so busy myself where he'll come to me and say, we should like do a dinner out, just you and I. And I'm like, whoa.
Who's this guy?
Completely. But I did a little research and, date night topics are really, really popular because people want to keep things fresh. Did you know that 73% of couples, and I saw this when I was looking, because once you go down a rabbit hole,
Sure.
Google will send you a bunch of stuff, but that 70% of marriages don't work because people just give up. Did you know that?
Just because they give up? Like it's not like infidelity or anything like that?
Yeah. I actually pulled.
I did not know that.
Okay,
I would have never guessed that.
I actually pulled stats.
You pulled stats.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what the reason for divorce. And I found this while, looking up fun stuff to do for date nights, was the reason for divorce in America as of 2022, 73% of people lack the commitment to stay in the relationship.
Wow.
Do you know what the percentage is of infidelity?
How much?
If you had to guess.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's like divorce is 1 out of every 2 roughly. So I'd say 50%.
Yeah, it was 55. So that's accurate. People divorce because they argued too much. That was 56%. But I kind of sort of feel that goes into also lack of commitment. Like if you're arguing all the time, you're not trying to work it out. And so then you just give up.
Maybe.
There was 46%. Okay, this is a large number. 46% of people that divorced in 2022 got divorced because they married too young.
Oh, wow.
I think that's crazy.
That is
right?
crazy.
Because I don't know. I think, I don't know. Like our kids are young. They're, very young, 23, 20, and 19.
Right.
I can't imagine them getting married in their 20s. Like too young. Like that's crazy. I think.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are people that get married approaching 30 now, and then they realize like 3 years later, like, oh, this is a big mistake. I still wasn't ready. There are plenty of people I know that got married around the 30 to 35 age bracket who are no longer with their first spouse. So.
Oh, that's true. But would they say, I guess they would say they got married too young. Okay.
They weren't ready. Same thing, right? It was like I was too young. I felt like I still had other people to date, whatever. Like I wasn't ready to. Okay, so is it going to do the work of being married, all that stuff?
Okay, so is it going to turn into when our kids get married, so you're getting married because our kids, I guess their generation probably going to get married later in life. So then what? At 50, you get divorced because you say you were too young at 40.
Maybe. I mean, look at life expectancy. They're all talking about raising like retirement age because people are living longer and all that. So,
Wow. Okay. So for me, too young just kind of like threw me for a loop when I saw that stat. I do think commitment's an issue. And I think I don't know. I think it's an issue because people think it's so easy to find a new mate.
Yeah, there's some of that.
I don't know if it is that easy to find a new mate. I really don't. I mean, we both have friends who are single, who are divorced. I don't know. Like if I ask them, I don't think anyone would want to go back to their original partner, but I think everyone would agree it's not as easy as they maybe thought it was going to be. I don't know. You just when you're divorced, like you're going to meet somebody who might have kids and you may not have kids.
It's
like
definitely not
it's
not as easy as like I've had plenty of guy friends who thought it was going to be like, and maybe it was for the first 6 months. It was like, oh, I'm dating, I'm on a spree. And then all of a sudden it's like enough lonely nights rack up together. And they're like, man, this is not as good as I thought it was going to be. There are plenty of people that male and female that are like, this is awesome. I love being single. So, but
not that they would ever go back to their original partner. I'm not saying that. Right. I just think that for some people,
it's not the cakewalk they thought it was going to be in terms of finding somebody new.
But when they were in the marriage, they thought it would be so easy to find somebody new. It's kind of like when you have a boyfriend, it's easy to get another boyfriend. Than when you're single.
When you have a job, it's easier to get another job. Yeah. That
I think
all
that's what it is.
That
I think that's so like when you're married, you attract other people because you're married, but damn, the minute you're divorced, it's like the desert. You can't find anyone.
Yeah. I also think that, thinking about social media, your iPhone, binge watching, all that stuff, it's like everything is at your fingertips now. And you get a little dopamine hit off of all that stuff. And the work of staying in a relationship with somebody when it's hard, that's not a dopamine hit. Like that can be a grind, like even for the best of us, you and I have both had periods where it's like just lacking communication, feeling at odds with your partner is a grind. Not that either one of you are good or bad. It's just for whatever reason, you're not syncing together at that moment. That sucks,
It's true.
So
I remember when we were having a backyard party or something and Mimi had asked me, what is it that makes you guys work? And I remember just saying to her what I basically just said now, which is that we were never on the same page of wanting to be out of the relationship. Like there were always moments where like he may have been frustrated with me and was like, I'm out. And there were moments where I was frustrated with him and I was like, I'm out. But neither one of us were ever on that same page. And I think had that.
You mean both of us together were never on the same page?
Oh, what did I say? Neither one of us. I'm sorry. Yeah. Both of us together were never on the same page. So when he was ready to like I'm sick of you, I'd be like, no, I'm still good. I'll be nice tomorrow. And like where I was like, oh no, I'm done with this. He's like, wait. I think, tomorrow will be a better day. If we had both been on the same page at that time, I don't think we'd be together because there has to be somebody that's the reasonable one.
It would be called Skiptown All-Star.
Who would be it?
It would have been you. Are you kidding?
You think so? I can't set up this stuff.
Huh?
I can't. I'd have to hire you to set up this stuff.
Yeah, you would have had to hire people for sure.
I'd hire you.
But I wouldn't pay you alimony if you were making me set up all your gear just to get your little enterprise off the ground.
But think about it. I'd make one day.
You'd make money for our children.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't be for me, right?
I would give you a little.
I'd break me off some. I appreciate that. But, I think it's really important to say like anybody who's been in a relationship for any length of time knows that it's not easy. Like there's no way you could come to our house or anywhere we are the night before a trip and think these two people are going to stay together for a long time. There's no way. It's like we need to do a show like Skiptown After Dark. And let me tell you, it is not sexy. So it is not the After Dark you think of. It's like, how are these two people in 6 hours going to get in the same car together?
So that's why even for us traveling, we even need a weekend away. But you know what? Going back to what you just said, that traveling sometimes can be challenging. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because we've been on the road now for, it's been 9 months. Right?
We could have had a baby in this time. We could have given the girls a little brother.
Okay. They would mutiny.
Oh, they would.
They would really literally. Oh, Ellie has already said. They would not
be willing to share it. Right now, they've settled into having a third of inheritance. They would not want to go down to a quarter.
And they would not babysit. Oh,
they would not.
They would completely protest. Like, Ellie has already said, I'm the baby and I'm not sharing that title with anyone. No.
I'm just saying 9 months. We've birthed the podcast. That's about it.
But we've been on the road for 9 months. So one of the things that I find challenging when I'm with James on the road, I don't want to say a bad driver because I've been on the road with you for 9 months. So, and it's like, that's such a big, that's like a big umbrella, but he has this knack of every single time I doze off, he has to hit the brakes.
Sometimes traffic stops. What am I supposed to do?
Here's the thing. I realized this probably about 6 months into dating him, that whoever taught him how to drive was terrible and he needs to be retaught. But he's so old now.
Nobody taught me. I grew up in Ohio. You just drive.
Oh, that explains it. But at this point, you can't teach him anything new because it's virtually impossible. So he has this knack that he doesn't realize. And I've said to him over and over again, and sometimes he gets really mad when I remind him. And I could tell because like the little vein on the side of his head will start to pop out when I say this. And he'll say, you've said this before. But if you just take your foot off the gas, the car slows down.
Usually.
Immediately. No, immediately.
No, unless you're doing 85, it doesn't just slow down. Trust me, I've tested this.
Oh, not with me in the car. Yeah. No, because every time I'm in the car,
it will slow down. But if the car up in front of you is doing 60 and you're doing 85, trust me, it doesn't slow down in time.
Okay. Here's what I know. Every single time I am asleep, you have to slam on your brakes. Every time. Oh, every time. I got in the car the other day.
You should be spending time with me. Why are you trying to sleep in the car?
I got in the car the other day and I said, please.
What'd you say?
I said, please, I want to look at my phone and not get car sick. I said, can you not slam on the brakes every single time traffic starts to slow? Like, he doesn't even gauge it. It's like, it's the worst. I really want you to like learn how to do things differently when it comes to approaching traffic.
Okay. I don't know. I'm kind of like more of the NASCAR train of thought.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, where it's like on the brake, off the brake, switch gears. Yeah, I'm not particularly
but is it comfortable.
I'm not particularly. I'm not interested in racing anyone. I'm just particularly interested in not having to slow down for anyone.
Okay, I know your neck does the jerky thing every time you.
I know,
stop.
but I'm driving, so I can feel it coming. You're like mouth agape, catching flies with your head out.
Okay, so you don't
slobbering
mind
on
getting
yourself.
Whiplash because you do it. I mean, on a 6-hour
you know what?
drive.
When I do it, I put my arm out to like stop you from going forward.
Doesn't your neck hurt?
No, I don't know. It feels good. Like I like the way I drive.
Whipping it back and forth when you are jerky. Like everyone who drives with you in the back seat.
Like I'm tensing my neck because I see
everybody in the back seat gets sick. It's historical. Anyone who sits in the back seat gets sick.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Let's get into what annoys me.
It's going to be tough.
This is my favorite one. I will be listening to a radio show or a podcast or music and just rocking out, living my best life. And you will turn it off so that you can talk to Siri in your phone. And instead of typing a text, you just want to talk to the phone so that you can leave your epic Moses long texts for people.
Yeah, he'll be in the middle of literally singing to like Whitesnake, and I will just boom.
You are literally the reason TLDR, the acronym, exists. Too long, didn't read. Like,
that's a thing.
That's a thing. Like when the kids say, I'm sorry, Mom, I didn't have time to read all that. What they're really saying to you is
TLDR?
The Reddit version of TLDR. Yeah. Too long, didn't read.
Oh, too long, didn't read. Okay.
The other thing is you really hate my jug. You hate my jug. Like my hydro jug.
It takes up so much space.
I need water. Okay. I fill up my hydro. And I brought it out just the other day. You were like, we're not going to have room for your jug. I was like, you're kidding me?
I did.
It's like,
I told him he had to keep it home.
It's the size of a 1 liter bottle.
I told him he had to keep it home. I said, there's no room
she's
in
like,
the car
there's no room
for
in the car for that. So traveling with your partner is tough. The whole theme of the show. Is that the theme of the show?
No, it's Weekend Getaway.
Oh, we're just... Okay, well, whatever. It's a theme of this segment.
It went down a rabbit hole. It was Weekend Getaway. I guess we really needed it.
How to be romantic. How to be romantic. When your husband carries out his jug, yell at him and say, why are you bringing that? Yeah. It's not going to fit in the car with everybody in the car.
We're not
I'm like,
apocalyptic.
It's a water bottle.
Just, can you get a regular one? Like, why does it have to be 50 ounces? I don't understand
I'm thirsty.
What did you think this week?
I don't know. I thought we were going to talk about a romantic weekend getaway.
What did you think this episode was?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical.
It's funny you talk about the statistic of people giving up. It's just like, I don't know. It's weird. It's like a trend right now. If something's like painful or uncomfortable or makes you feel awkward, people just like pull the ripcord and they're out.
But then you also, don't you think sometimes you run the line too of like being boring with that person? Like, you guys do the same thing all the time. Like, you see, like, it's always like it becomes two mundane extremes. Yeah. It's like you have the person who's like, it's not exciting enough, or it's not working, so boom, I'm out. And then you have the other couple that do the same stuff every single
all
day.
Teddy wants to do is fish every weekend.
Right. So, those people really need like a date night, don't you think? I hate the word date night. I've always hated that word. When I had kids, everyone was like, gotta go on a date night. Is there another way we can? I hate that word. I hate that
when
phrase.
The kids were young, I think.
I hate that phrase.
When the kids were young, I think the way you phrased it was, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Let's do I need to get the fuck out of here weekend.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Okay.
And then once in a while we would.
Yeah. But speaking about getting comfortable, oh my gosh. Do you remember the time that my cousin was dating a girl and she only like on the third time they went out, she decided to invite him over like they were going to like, she was going to make dinner at her house or apartment or something like that. It was like the third time he was going out with her. And she put sweatpants on.
Oh yeah.
And he
Okay. I
broke
was
up
trying
with
to think of which cousin you were talking about.
And he broke up with her.
Yeah.
Oh, I swear.
Yeah, he's like, she's a little too comfortable this soon.
Yeah. So the sweatpants, like when anyone says anything about sweatpants,
awesome.
It has put the fear of God into all three of my girls. Everybody, my sister-in-law talks about the sweatpants story. Everyone talks about this story about.
The best part of the story is
this poor girl had no idea.
He's a good enough looking guy where he could totally get away with it. Like he was just like, you know what?
You're
I
absolutely
don't need a girl that wears sweatpants. I've got plenty of other girls interested in me.
Yeah. The third time they got together, she put sweatpants on. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I
wonder, did he ever tell her?
No. And we were all like, we felt bad for her.
Like, you should tell her not to wear sweatpants around guys.
Yeah,
anymore.
because
She's probably wondering what the hell happened.
She was wondering what the hell happened. Yeah. I even had to call his mom and I was like, seriously, he's not going to tell her? And she's like, no. And I was like, oh, poor girl. Because if somebody just tells you, hey, you like put sweatpants on a little too soon, you're a little too comfortable right out of the gate, no makeup, she would never do that again.
Yeah.
So I really.
That's tough. I mean, that's like.
I've never.
That's a standard right there that he went for, like right away. He could. I mean, it wasn't even like.
It's true though.
Clearly, he didn't like her enough to stick around. So,
but
to overlook it.
Okay, if she's wearing sweatpants on the
he
third
could have
date,
said to her. Yeah, well, I know, but he could have said to her later. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. This is not relationship therapy, so whatever.
No, but it is.
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like so. I mean, the thing is that when you get so comfortable on a third date, what's it going to be like in 3 years?
That's a
like
good
you're
point.
not going to like get out of bed.
I totally get where he's coming from with that, and especially at the age he was at the time it happened. It was like he doesn't want sweatpants girl. No, he wants exciting, trendy, cute, dressed well girl.
Like, let's have fun every weekend girl. Let's get the fuck out of here, weekend girl.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, all right, well, it didn't work out for her, but I hope she's doing well with whatever guy she met. I'm sure she met a guy that's perfectly happy with her being in sweatpants all the time.
I'm sure she did. Of course. Like there's someone for everyone. Yeah. So, but you do run the gamut of like you said, it being, I'm out of here so quickly, like, the whole dopamine thing about like getting an instant gratification. And then you also run the gamut of people who like, what is it? Ted's fishing all the time.
Teddy's always fishing.
Teddy's always fishing and they don't never do anything.
Our metaphorical Teddy in this. Yeah. I like fishing. Fishing's cool, but you can't like once in a while you got to take your girl to the farmer's market, Teddy.
Agreed. But I also think that like when you do a date night, I hate that. Okay, get the F out of here weekend night. Yeah. Somebody has to be in charge of it. There's now like crazy apps where like they make you pick, like the app will pick who's going to plan the weekend. So I found this app. It's called Schwazi. I hope I'm saying it right. It's Chwazi. And if you look it up, it's hysterical. It's basically an app.
CH?
Yeah, Chwazi. Chwazi. All
right, you said it really fast, and it's like not a bunch of letters that go together. So I'm glad you repeated it for the listeners.
So it's this really fun app where like if both of you cannot decide who wants to plan the weekend, because it is a lot of work. You put your fingers on the screen of your phone, like he puts his finger, you put your finger on the screen, and then it will have these little circles that'll like run around the screen. It's kind of like musical chairs, and it'll stop on a finger. And that's the person that plans the weekend. But in this case, I took it over. So we did not have to do that. What I did do though, that I thought would be fun was I saw this game on TikTok called Date Night Card Game. What it is you fill out index cards of like 5 things that you want to do, or maybe your partner would really enjoy doing that you haven't done. And then you give your partner the opportunity to pick one of those index cards without showing them what's on the other side. So you present 5 blank cards to them and say, okay, pick one and we're going to do that tonight. But you do it during the course of your weekend. So you can start it off with like, just even at breakfast, like, make 5 index cards of like 5 fun places to go for breakfast. And you can throw in a doozy like McDonald's. So I decided to do this on our trip. But I didn't do it with 5 index cards. I did it with 2. They were both things that, I knew he would like. So you got to pick. Was there any piece of paper that you picked that you were like, oh, I don't want to do this?
I was pleasantly surprised that you wanted to do something that I actually really enjoy. Like they were all great. It was like laying on the beach.
But the point of the game is that I pick things that you would like to do. not necessarily that I would like to do, but that I think you would like to do.
I know, but you still have to be willing to do them with me.
I
What's
did.
the point?
Yeah, it's true.
It'd be a shitty date night.
So I didn't pick
if I'm picking out stuff that you don't like.
Well, I did have some say in what was on the piece of paper, and like I didn't put parasailing, So I did
You're
put.
not willing. That's off the table.
Oh,
huh?
that is totally off the table.
Okay.
The only thing I did a little differently is both pieces of paper had the same thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah, both pieces of paper had the same thing. So whichever
You mean
one you
when I
chose,
was picking one of the two, they both said the same thing. This is a false choice. Why would you do that to me?
Because I really wanted to have shrimp tacos. I really wanted to go on that boat.
My God.
I really wanted.
Wow.
You didn't know that.
No, I did not know that. I never saw the other thing. I mean, I did wonder at times, but I just thought it was like you had a little I saw you had a little stack, and I didn't want, like, I'm not the kind of guy that like looks in the closet at Christmas or whatever and tries to see what my presents are. I did not look through your stack of paper to see what else was in store for the weekend. Oh, that's some bullshit you pulled on me right there. I'm not happy about that at all.
So if there's something you really want to do, make sure all the cards have that
The
same
stuff that you want to do on them.
Because you could easily fill out a card with something like you totally know they want to do. Like I could put things on there like watch football all day. Oh, hell no. I'm not putting that card in there. I am not putting that card in there. So yeah, but look, you had a good time. So what does it matter?
It doesn't matter, but I'm surprised you actually, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you. You're sneaky.
I am.
Uh-huh. This just makes me think, what else is she sneaking about?
I don't lie. So it's hard for me to be sneaky. So, I mean, even now,
no,
I'm
you are
telling you.
brutally honest, actually.
Sorry.
You're at the other end of the spectrum.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that.
A lot of people hate that.
I know. They really do. My therapist many years ago told me, Denise, not everyone wants to hear the truth.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
I've cut back a lot. Like if you know what goes on in my head most of the time that is unsaid, it's spectacular.
Oh, I've known you long enough. Oh, that reminds me of a story.
No.
Wait, story time, people. Oh my God, you're going to love this. Okay, so we're on this boat, right? And we did the sea kayaking. And as we're doing the sea kayaking, there was one particular...
Talk about the boat. It's not like a private boat that we rented. We're on a boat with.
Okay, I'll set the table.
You're gonna have to.
We're on a private boat. I'm just kidding. We're not on a private boat. We're on a very public tour boat. And on this boat, there are about probably 40 other people maybe total.
Exactly. That's what it was. Yeah.
But anyway, you don't have to do the sea kayaking, but for those who want to engage, they can. So we're standing there and they like hand us the life vests and all this stuff. And as we're standing there, we see this young couple with a baby.
A baby.
A baby. Like a little baby.
Like
and the little
6
baby,
months old.
And the little baby has a paddle board attached to it, like a floaty paddle board as part of its bathing suit, right? Like it was all one contraption. And the baby was in there.
Paddleboard?
It was a white baby too. It was like a white ass baby. I was like, why is that little white ass baby in the sun?
Yeah.
But anyway,
it made no sense.
Whatever. Anyway, these people were like, oh, we're taking the little baby out on the sea kayak with us. Now, where we were sea kayaking, it wasn't like sandy beach. It was like through mangroves, which are basically islands made of twisted trees coming out of the water. There's no place for land or anything like that. And below us is like this spiky seaweed. So if you tip your sea kayak, then they're going to be standing in spiky seaweed trying to get their baby back, right? And so anyway, whatever.
It doesn't matter because even if they came back from the mangroves, the water's like 30 feet deep where the boat was.
Yeah, it was deep. So anyway, it was
the
just
ocean.
Like,
we're in the sea.
It was like one of those things where you're like, do you
we're
really
in the
need...
sea.
We get it, hon. We're in the sea. We're
outside
the Keys.
Who would take a baby in a kayak?
I need to finish the story.
Go ahead. It's insane.
Well, that's not the most insane part. we
had a problem the minute we saw the baby on the boat.
You're going to tell the story.
No, I had a problem the minute I saw that baby on the boat. Not even in the kayak. When
Denise and I were first married, we went on a trip to Hawaii and we hiked the Nepali coast, right? On Kauai. And she was so alarmed. We were up in the mountains. So if you ever do those mountains, we're off on a tangent. If you ever do those mountains, it's like cliffside hiking and
no rail
and mud. like especially if it rains. And there was just a guy in bare feet with a little baby on his shoulders, like walking through. And Denise,
Holding.
I learned right away,
Holding.
like Denise does not approve of, like if she sees, like even the city park, like if there's a guy towing a baby on his bike in one of those little baby taxis, like she freaks out. She's like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Why would he ever put that baby in there?
Yeah, because someone's going to hit him from behind, not paying attention. The
he's on the
baby's dead.
side. He's on the bike trail.
People are on their phone.
In the park. So I know she has this thing with babies, right? She doesn't like babies to be outside.
Sorry, I do like people to take care of their babies.
She does not like babies to be outside. Okay. So these people do this trip and they come back on their sea kayak and they're getting off the boat. And it wasn't easy. It was like a little metal staircase that folds out at the bottom of the boat. So you actually slide your kayak up under the boat and then you have to grab the ropes of the ladder and pull yourself up without falling in, right?
Uh-huh.
And dad, he decides he's going to come off first or whatever. And so he gets off and he's fine. And then mom hands the baby to the dude. And as dad is climbing the stairs, all I hear, like I was only half paying attention. All I hear was, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. And it's like, Denise, like, oh my God. Like, I was like, I looked and it was like terror in her eyes. I'm like, oh my God, it was like Pet Cemetery or something. And so I look over and the dude actually did fall up the stairs with the baby in his hands.
And someone else had to catch the baby.
To his credit, he took it on the shoulder and the baby never hit the stairs, but it did prove your theory that it was a dumb idea all along to take take that baby on that
Somebody grabbed that baby from his hands because he was falling.
He was still two stairs from the top.
While he was falling and somebody grabbed the baby.
Yeah, because it turns out the stairs are really wet at the bottom of a boat coming off of a sea kayak. So he slipped and he started falling. Yeah. So anyway, I knew that given Denise's history of hating babies being outside, that we were going to have a problem. And she was just staring and glaring at this guy as he sort of picked his bloodied self up off of the stairs. He had a scrape on his arm, whatever. He stands up and then whoever took the baby is like waiting for him to get up the stairs and they give him back the baby. And I just walk over to Denise because I could see her and I know all she wanted to do was say, yeah, you shouldn't have had the baby on the boat, right?
You idiot.
You idiot. So anyway, I'm standing there talking to her. I'm like, here's what we're going to do. And I had to become her inner voice at that moment. I go, we're going to understand that there are stupid people everywhere and we can't stop stupid everywhere we go. We're just going to let this one go. It was a dumb idea. I think he realizes now that he's fallen, it's a dumb idea. We're just going to stand here. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to say anything. We're not going to say anything. And I kept saying it over and over and over. And the whole time I knew she was on the edge of like really letting this guy have it. Like, you dumbass, why did you bring that baby on this boat? And that baby's white. It shouldn't even be in the sun. And now you took it out in the kayak and then you stupid ass fell up the stairs.
Here's the thing. They put the baby's life in danger. And I'll tell you why. Because they could be professional kayakers. But the problem is not everyone that was on this tour was a professional kayaker. So when you're on the kayaks, people are hitting you with their kayaks because guess what? Some of these people have never been on a kayak before. So it didn't matter if they were professional kayakers. People were running into them because
they were decidedly not professional kayakers. Yeah. Is that even a job?
Yeah, there are people who like are sea kayakers or who for sure. And it's not a job, but it's a hobby and it can be not a profession, but it can be a hobby that turns into
They're an expert sea kayaker.
Yeah, it's just like it's a whitewater rafting.
Put that on your business card.
I mean, yeah, you can be a professional. You take people on tours. Sure, you can be a professional. They weren't that. And it's like, who takes a 6-month-old in a kayak in the ocean? Like, who does that? I mean, who does that? Like, here's what's even crazier. They had a grandma and grandpa with them. And guess what? They were in the kayak right next to them. So they condoned this behavior, which to me was just child abuse. It was child negligence, complete child negligence. It took everything for me not to say.
They weren't negligent, hun. The baby was with them. They were attending to the baby.
Nope. They were negligent by bringing the baby on a kayak. That is bad parenting.
Anyway, it was some bad judgment.
So it ruined like part of the trip for me because I couldn't get my mind off this baby and like how terrible.
We're standing on this beautiful sandbar And all Denise can think about is this baby. And finally I'm like, babe, just grab a mimosa. Like the baby's fine. We're not doing any more
I just couldn't
kayaking
believe,
today.
but it did make me feel better when someone else in the group was like, wow, they're idiots. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm not the only one here. I mean, my friend thought they were idiots. We all thought they were idiots.
Yeah, I think the majority of the boat thought they were idiots. Yeah. Other than that one lady who passed out, who would disagree with you. I don't think she remembers the baby at all.
Yeah, she had a little too much champagne.
Yeah. You were nervous too before the sea kayaking. You were nervous because you told me.
Oh, that one I was.
You're not going to tip this over, right?
I didn't want to be that couple. And I knew
I got this.
We had the chances of being that couple. So, but
at least we didn't have a baby with us.
No. But then he handled it really well because everybody, like, you know how like when you're skiing and you cross your skis? Well, that's what everyone was doing with their kayaks. They were crossing.
Pizza.
What?
That's what it's called when you tell little kids to cross their skis. You're like, pizza, pizza, pizza. And you try to get them to stop as they're barreling down the bunny slope. Yeah.
Okay, so everyone was crossing their kayaks, and so we had to stay way back.
Yeah, there were a group of like 3 kayaks in front of us, and I was like, stop. I actually hit you with my oar at one point on the back of your life vest. And I was like, stop paddling. We are not rowing into that. Like we are not going into that mess in front of us. There were the same 3 boats fighting for position or running into each other the entire way around the mangroves.
There was the 3 people, the same 3 boats. Yes, it's true.
And I was like, no. I'm like, we are staying back here away from it. Even the German kids behind us.
Oh, they were way far.
Yeah, they were like, no, 9.
So, they were
like, no, they stopped. And those guys were muscular dudes. They could have out paddled everybody.
Yeah, it's true.
And they were like, no, we're just going to enjoy our day and not get tangled up in these 6 people that are going to like all be in the water in a moment.
Yeah. So what we ended up doing was the first night that we got to the Florida Keys, and we're going to talk about like a little bit about the Florida Keys and like, you know, some of its history. Cause we did, you know, I did do a little research before I got there.
I did not.
It's okay.
I just showed up.
He did. Typical. Here's how the weekend pretty much went. On any single trip we take, whether it's a family vacation or even just like, you know, him and I doing a weekend away, the first night is always like the chill night. Like, let's just hang. Sometimes we go out to dinner. Sometimes we'll order in like room service. It just depends. Or stay at the hotel and order dinner. Like we
normally just get food and walk around.
Yeah. And just, so that's what we did here. So we landed in the Keys on a Saturday and we just really took in the place where we stayed. Here's something interesting about the Keys, this particular island. So the Keys are actually made up of 800 islands. Yeah. Which is crazy because I think we drove through maybe 7 of them, but I'm thinking like, where are the other 793?
We passed tons of them.
You could see them in the horizon.
They're little ones,
yes.
You know.
But the main ones were like what you hear of the Keys. So there's like Islamorada, and then there's
Islamorada.
Oh, okay, Islamorada.
Here we go again. You're back on that name thing.
Then there's Marathon, and then you have obviously Key Largo. Then you have Key West. So
not necessarily in that order.
No, not at all. But that's like those are the islands.
Those are the big ones.
The big ones.
Yeah,
exactly. So interesting. I got yelled at by a lady, so I had to look this up. But there are no corporate hotels on Islamorada. That is the first island we stayed on when we got to the Keys, and that island has no corporate hotels.
There's no like Marriott or anything there?
Nope. There's no Hampton Inn. There's no Holiday Inn. Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so every hotel, every resort, wherever you're staying is privately owned. Hey, it may be like a corporation of its own, but it's not owned by a corporate entity.
It's like a local chain or whatever.
Exactly. And then we had a hard time finding a liquor store inside of a grocery store. Because in Florida, the way it works is that the liquor stores are usually inside of grocery stores and it's a separate entrance. So we went to the main grocery store, which is Publix. That is a corporate owned grocery store. And they did have that on Islamorada. But there was no liquor store in that grocery store. So we had to find an independent liquor store. And when we did, I asked the owner about it. I said, why does this Publix not have a liquor store? Because it's just odd. It's like, I've never come across a grocery store where there was not a liquor store attached to it in Florida at this point. And we've been all over Florida. And she got very sassy with me. She immediately said, no, this is what she first said. She went, she was missing like 4 teeth. So I got a view of that.
Front teeth or backs?
Oh, front and back. It was front and side. So she was missing like 1 in the front, 2 on the side, 1 on the bottom. When she did her I got a good look at those. And then she told me how she had lived there for 40 years. And if there were liquor stores inside of Publix or any grocery store on the island, she would be out of business. And, and so then I said to her, okay, you've been here for 40 years. I've been here for 4 minutes. I'm literally just asking you a question.
But we were on other islands and they did have corporate stores and corporate hotels.
Key West
has it.
Yeah, they're all about
Marathon had a Publix, if I remember right, with a liquor store.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
We drove past it.
Yep, it is true.
Power to the small businesses. I like that idea. It's not bad.
It is. But
I mean, she could have presented it, the concept a little nicer to you.
Yeah, I don't think that was in her wheelhouse.
She's not in her wheelhouse.
No. The only downside to that is that you don't have a lot of inexpensive choices when it comes to food that I found. So with all restaurants being, privately owned, they're charging high prices on that particular island. Yeah. So for us, I found it to be very expensive to eat, and we did not go to fancy places whatsoever. So
they were just like kind of your salty dog restaurants with like a full bar, obviously, but like a grouper dinner would be like $39.
Yeah, like the cheapest meal would start at $25, which I thought was very, very expensive. And people kept saying to us the whole time that we were there, oh, you're here during high season. But I was like, well, these menus aren't high season menus. Don't change. Like these are going to be the same menus in July. Right. So, when no one's here, whoever is here, because it's so damn hot, they're still going to be paying $25 for a burger, which I don't know. I found that to be extremely expensive.
It was an expensive weekend for sure. There's no doubt.
Well, so the first day we went there, we chilled. The second day we went there, we decided that we were going to rent a boat, just the 4 of us. And our friend, Mike, he's had a boat for years. He felt very comfortable.
Yeah, we didn't need a captain.
Driving the boat.
Between the two of us, but mostly him. He drove most of the day.
I couldn't get a captain. Like I called so many places to get a captain, but with the 4 of us there and Mike having a boat, and although you're very comfortable on a boat, I did think it was odd. I particularly wanted to get a captain so we could all enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
It was weird that I couldn't get a captain. No place offered a captain. I asked, like, can I hire a captain? And the one place was like, oh yeah, you can get a captain, but it's going to be more than your boat rental. And I was like, oh, okay, that's insane. Like, why is that a thing? I would think in a beach town like that, it'd be more prevalent. Weren't you surprised?
A little bit, but I think you could mostly, like, if you're not going to charter somebody's specific boat to actually rent them as people, like to basically hire them as people to come onto some other boat. And let's face, like the place where we rented boats, you could have just chartered a boat. You charter a boat
with the captain already
and he's
attached.
like, do you want to fish or do you want to just tool around? And you say, we just want to tool around.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Boat. Oh my gosh. I was literally.
You don't rent your own boat and then hire a captain.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's exactly what I was doing.
That said, though, one important thing in the Keys is to know that, like, a lot of the Keys, like a lot of the area around the Keys or whatever, it's shallow water. Like we got stuck in the mud once and we had to back out. And then there are other areas. Because it went from
30 feet to 2 feet, like that.
Yeah. And if you can't, like, if you don't have your eyeglasses on and you can't read the little tiny markings on the buoys, you could easily find yourself. So the best advice I can give anybody who's renting a boat in the Keys is follow traffic, like watch where the other boats are going and then just follow them. Even if you have to cross their wake to get into their channel, it's worth it because, we were fine. We had a small boat and it did really well in shallow water and everything. And it was just the 4 of us and we weren't like going crazy. We weren't water skiing.
But
we weren't doing any of that stuff.
Here's what's insane. That 2 feet of water was in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not talking about the shore. Yeah. We did not come near the shore.
That's why there's so many islands. That's why there's 800 islands. It's like all of a sudden, boom, like a landmass pops up,
Yeah, it was
crazy. And it's not always above the water if it's high tide. So
yeah, that's so true. Yeah. That's so true.
So you got to be careful. You got to watch the buoys. It's like one of those things where it's like, don't think that like once you're out away from the dock that you're cool because you are not. The Keys are not made that way. So.
No, and that was the beauty of it. So we rented a boat because we wanted to explore, honestly, like get out on the ocean.
Yep.
And I was told that the water is just beautiful. You can see down to the bottom almost throughout the entire area of the Keys. And I wanted to see it for myself. There are sandbars that just would pop up out of nowhere. So you would be you're on a boat, and it's just beautiful ocean, and you're looking down and you see all the green underneath you on the ocean bed floor. And then all of a sudden it's white sand.
It just turns into white sand, like a huge patch of it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I kept saying the entire time I was sitting on the boat, I've never seen anything like this. Yeah. I've been to the Caribbean. I went to St. Martin many years ago, but I wasn't on a boat. I was obviously at a beach. So it's totally different. But being out in the ocean, there was one point, I don't know how many miles out we were at the, we went to
the lighthouse.
And I don't know if it was 30 miles from shore, 20 miles from shore. What do you think? 10 miles?
At the most. Yeah.
Okay. But there was a sandbar. We literally jumped out of our boat, and it was about 15 feet down was a sand. Right? Carly said 15.
Yeah. I mean, that's not really by definition a sandbar. Sandbar is when it comes up and you can actually
yes, I'm so sorry.
beach your boat.
There wasn't a sandbar there, but there was
There's plenty of sand in that area.
Yes. And so we literally anchored and just went swimming on top of the sand.
It was super pretty.
It was
great.
Beautiful. So I really wanted to see that. And I was so glad that Carly and Mike, our other, the couple that were with us, were up for it, because I just felt like we're there. The water is beautiful. Like, let's do something very Key West.
That was awesome.
Yeah. The only thing was that the next day, Carly and Mike had planned another boat adventure, but that
was a sea kayaking day. Yeah,
that was a sea kayaking day, and that was with a company, and that was with a group of people. I had just wished that we had a day in between of those two boat days, because
you don't do that much sun back to back.
I can't. It's very, very hard for me. I did it.
Look at this complexion, people, for those of you watching on YouTube.
It was,
She's
it was
a white
hard.
lady.
It was hard. I'm not going to lie. I had a difficult time because I was out in the sun. I was tired in the water. It was a long day. So my only advice to anyone that's going to do a vacation weekend in the Keys, just do one boat day. Or if you're going to be there for 3 days and you're going to do 2 boat days, make the second day just a day on land. Like just feet in the sand or walking, around.
Kicking it in downtown Key West or something like that.
Because it's unless you're a fisherman, it's a little bit hard doing back-to-back boat rides, because the second one, we went to a legit sandbar, right?
Yeah.
That was a legit sandbar, and we did paddle boarding there, which is something I've never done. And I can't say that I actually even really did it. Like I got up on the paddleboard very quickly because I saw
you paddled a couple of times. Technically you did it.
I saw what everyone else was doing and how they were falling off. I was like, oh no, I've got this. I got this under wraps. So getting up was actually, that's the hard part for most people. That was really easy for me. Getting it moving was hard because it was windy a little bit. I don't know. It was just super hard.
Well, okay. So you were pointed into the wind.
Yeah.
And into the wake. And so you were paddling. I
wasn't going anywhere.
And you weren't going anywhere because the wind was blowing directly against you. Unlike Champagne lady who had a lot, and this was like her breaking point. She actually moved pretty quickly. And before we knew it, the captain was yelling at her from the megaphone because she had traversed the sandbar and now was on her way out into the ocean.
Yeah, she was literally in the ocean. She wasn't in the sandbar anymore.
And he yelled at her. And what did he say? He goes, I'm just telling you, Cuba is only 90 miles away and you are headed there right now.
That was an interesting fact. Cuba is only 90 miles away from Key West.
From where we were. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend, like, if, I don't know, you're not asking me, I'm just saying it. Cause my show too.
Sort of.
And that is, I would say I would rather spend more days in Key West next time and less days in Islamorada if I have my way around it.
What's the difference, in your opinion, of the two islands?
I just think there's more. Okay, so I don't like. I like the fact that there are things to do in Key West where you can actually walk to them, and you don't have to get in your car and drive up and down the 1-lane road that takes you to all the Keys. And the other islands are cool. There's a lot to love and appreciate about them and everything. The other Keys, but after a while, like after 2 square miles or 2 straight miles, it's like you're seeing the same type of restaurant, the same type of, you know what I mean? And just,
it's a difference between a city and a suburb.
Key West had more like, it
Key
was
West
a little more
city.
populated. Yeah, it was
felt more like
town.
a city. Yeah. And Islamorada felt like the suburbs.
Exactly. All we had time to do when we got off the boat was we went to one Argentinian restaurant, Viva.
On Duval Street, which is like their famous like fun street in Key West. Yeah.
And you guys were shopping and doing all that stuff after dinner, but it was like before you knew it, the stores were closing. It was over, and that was our only night there.
First of all, I would say 3 days in Key West is just too short. Like it's a long drive. He mentioned something that is true. There is one road in and one road out, meaning that there is one lane that goes north, one lane that goes south. So if you get behind a semi, or if you get behind a dump truck, or if you get just behind a grandma, you're screwed.
Yeah, like just strap in because you have nowhere to go.
Yeah. And it will take you roughly 3 hours from the top of the Keys to the bottom of the Keys. And that trip could turn into 5 hours very, very easily if there's an accident. So that to me was extremely annoying. Like annoying. It was like, how are you in 2023 and you have one lane going in and one lane going out?
I think they like it that way. I mean,
no, they do. They clearly do. Yeah. I don't know if there's a lot of room for growth anyway, because there's some stretch of road where the ocean is on both sides. Like you have the Gulf on one side and the Atlantic on the other side. So I don't know if they could actually even widen the road, but it was crazy. I was like, wow, like one little accident will screw up everything.
I think the thing for me that I left with is like, you read about the Keys and you hear like, oh, are you staying in Marathon? Are you staying in Islamorada or
Key Largo, Key West.
Like, and you're like, oh man, which one should we pick? And there's like this little bit of like decision anxiety. Bottom line is, like everything stops in Key West. It's the southernmost point, and that is that's where the cruise ships will let people off. Like that's where the town is. So when you want the town, go to Key West. If you don't want that, then pick any of the other islands. It's really true. It's like there's not that big a difference between and I know there's a local out there listening who's about to scream at me, but for me, driving up and down the one road that goes in and out of all of them, the Keys do all start to look alike a little bit. So just settle where you think you have the nicest accommodations for your budget. You got the beach right there. Mm-hmm. Ask them about the beach, because our beach was not amazing in front of our resort. And so we stayed at Chesapeake, and the place was great.
Chesapeake Bay. And so the upside, it was called Chesapeake Bay Resort. It wasn't a resort. Now, this is honestly no slam on this place, because we loved our cottage. They had little cottages with kitchens and a cute dining area. I mean, a cute like little living room. So I would go back. Yeah. But it was very bare bones, meaning that there weren't umbrellas. It's a resort. When I hear the word resort, I think like beautiful loungers, umbrellas, people coming with like drinks to like bring us while we're sitting by the beach, a beautiful sandy beach. This wasn't the case. This had an okay beach, no umbrellas, lounge chairs, but no cushions, no bar, no restaurant. So it was really just a hotel.
It was basically a glorified hotel.
That's all it was.
That had suites, and we were in one of the suites.
Yeah, it was a cottage. It wasn't a suite. It was actually a cottage. It was a standalone building.
Standalone.
Yeah, so there was like
a
suite isn't a hotel. So it was a standalone cottage, and they had, I think, 10 of them.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so that to me, like I would go back for that, but there weren't a lot of amenities. So you have to just be really like, when you book it, like ask what are you getting? Because I think their definition in the Keys of luxury is a little bit different than maybe everyone else's, because it's really such a just beach town feel.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever stayed in Florida on either coast, it's like it does have a very Floridian feel to it.
Yes, that's a perfect word.
There were places we saw where it just felt like rundown Daytona Beach, and there were places we saw that felt like St. Pete's.
Yes,
yes. And so, pick and choose your battle. Like Marathon is a little more built up. They seem to have way more condos or rental resorts of some sort, apartments maybe. I have no idea how.
Because we didn't stay there, but we were driving through it. It was definitely more plentiful of condos. It looked like, and like, yes.
But I would say one of the most important questions you can ask if you have kids is, what is your beach like? Because sure, you said our beach was good. It was, as far as the sand hitting the water, but then there was just that one strip of sandbar that took you out to another sort of clearing in, and you could see the seaweed all around you. Like you were literally, it was like walking through a garden path. Sort of investigate that, because if you have a little kid or a bunch of teenagers even who just want to run out there and jump in the water, they're not doing that at this beach. They're waiting out. And then, unfortunately, like we said, the water's shallow everywhere. So even though we were 50 yards out from the beach, when we finally hit the clearing of sand, it was still shallow. Like we still had to kneel down to be fully in the water. So
it's true. Yeah. You know. It came up like shallow. It means like it comes up to your waist.
Yeah.
Like I'm 5'9". So it's, so, if you're 5'4", well then, hey, it's going to be up to your neck.
Anyway. But one of my favorite things we did while we were away was the couples massage.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God. So Denise booked us a couples massage. It was really great. And, nice to be pampered. I hadn't had a massage since we were in Mexico, which was like a month ago. I sound like a little pig when I say that, but,
well, I like to throw in something that you sit in a chair all day, you work hard. I'm always looking at my phone,
stressed.
trying to post, do stuff, and, working on the show.
This empty nesting thing has not been like the breeze that we thought it was going to be.
No. So sometimes we have to do some nice things for ourselves. And, I would never book him a massage on the road because he won't do it. Like if I said, hey, we're going into this town, so let's book a massage. He'd be like, no, I have stuff to do. No, I'm not doing that.
No, there has to be a beach or an ocean nearby. If I do a massage.
It's kind of true.
It's weird. I don't like doing it. You can't take me to a massage in the city.
No, if I'm like, hey, let's go.
What's the point? Your vibrations are just going to get screwed up again the minute you walk out the door, I guess is my feeling.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. So I can easily book one for him without much argument when we are away and there's water and sand.
But that said, my lady was great. She gave me a deep tissue massage. I needed it. I like it. I don't know what it is. I like being abused a little bit when I'm being rubbed on.
Not me.
I'm a little, I guess I'm just a little S&M like that, but man, I felt good. And she actually, it was actually some sort of sports therapy massage that she did. And she cracked a hip and all this stuff. I walked out of there feeling like $1 million, but
you call it a couples massage. We weren't in the same room because a couples massage technically is you're in the same room.
We showed up together and that was it. And then we went into our separate rooms, except the walls of the rooms didn't go all the way to the roof.
They did not. To the ceiling.
I don't know what it is. She gets it from her mother. It's like, if there's a moment to cough where you shouldn't absolutely cough, Denise will start coughing. So it's all quiet in this place. I get my face nestled down in the thing and my lady starts doing the massage and everything. And I'm just so relaxed. And all of a sudden I hear,
oh my gosh, you have no idea what's going through my head.
You're wheezing, trying to hold back the cough. And finally she's like, she goes, excuse me, I just need to do this. And I'm like, I could totally hear it all.
But you and everyone else,
I wanted to yell out, can you move that lady to a different room?
Wait, so, okay, what she did is, how they take the oil in their hands and they rub it together and they put it underneath your face as you're face down and they want you to smell.
It's like eucalyptus or something, lavender or some shit.
It was eucalyptus. And whatever that was, the brand, it went right up my nose and in my chest. So all of a sudden I had to cough. That's kind of the point. No, but it wasn't in a good way. It wasn't like it didn't open up everything. It caused me to cough. And all I kept thinking was, I'm going to interrupt everyone's massage because it wasn't just him. There was other people there too. And the room, the like he said, the walls didn't go up to the ceiling. So there's a huge space. You can't even hear when they're walking around the other beds. So it isn't the most private. And I kept coughing and I was thinking, oh my God, he's going to yell out.
Stop it.
He's going to yell out, stop it. And then,
totally crushing my vibe here.
When you get worked up over something, you can't stop thinking about it. Then you really start.
Yeah, there's a thing.
Oh yeah. And so then I had to start doing yoga breaths.
I could see you in my head. I could see you. Your eyes were watering and you're and
all I kept thinking.
I was like, Oh my God. I'm like next to somebody's old grandfather who's been smoking for 30 years.
And all I kept thinking was everyone in there was like, who is ruining my massage right now?
Like, somebody give that lady some water so we could all get our money's worth.
Yeah.
It was still better than that one. Speaking of Mike and Carly, there was one we did with them in Mexico some years ago. Remember that little like rinky dinky? Yeah.
Hole in the wall?
It was legit. Like I thought I was going to lose a kidney in there. Remember?
Yeah, you had to lay on your wallet.
We did do a couples massage in that one.
That was just.
And they were in the next room next to us, and we were laughing the whole time. And the Mexican girls were bringing us Coronas
It was not a massage.
It was a horrible massage. What was it, like $12 or something like that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I was like so petrified that they were going to slip us a roofie or something like that.
You were.
And
you were really
I was like, no way, I'm sleeping on my wallet. And they're like, you can leave your stuff in here. And I'm like, no, I'm not leaving my wallet.
Yeah, he literally laid on his wallet.
I literally put my wallet in my underpants and I laid on top of it while she was rubbing it. Fortunately, that was a good time. But I did think for a moment, I was like, they're gonna knock us out and they're gonna take our kidneys.
Yeah, you did think that. Yeah.
So
But
I've come a long way.
Not that much.
Okay.
Anyway.
One
thing I did want to talk about really quick was that the day that we rented the boat, I had read that there was a little island near near Islamorada, which was like every article I read said that this island called Indian Key Island. Yeah. It was a state park, but that you could kayak to it and it would only take 30 minutes from shore. So I thought, well, if we're going to be in a boat and it's that quick to kayak from shore, it'll take like 10 minutes in a boat, right? So I asked Carly and Mike if they would mind, and we ended up going to the Indian Key Island. But what they don't tell you, is that there's no real beach to like wash up on. So
there's no real beachhead there.
No. And so then so everybody was getting either out of a jet ski.
It was some real Robinson Crusoe shit. I'm not going to lie.
And I was not prepared.
I was looking around for Tom Hanks's volleyball on this place.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And when you land there in a boat, meaning like when you literally jump out of your boat to go into the water and walk to the island, because the water is pretty shallow. It's not sand. No. It's cacti.
It's literally underwater cacti. I mean, there's no other description for it.
I was yelling
and we did not have water shoes.
No,
we were wearing flip-flops.
No. And I kept saying to him,
we weren't planning on rock climbing that weekend or anything.
No. So I kept saying to him, I had to look down and see if there was any like spot of white sand where I can place my feet. Otherwise, I would land my feet literally on top of cactuses in the water. It was the most excruciating thing ever. And I'm not really sure it's worth it. So we went to the island. The island is called Indian Key Island. It's 11 miles, north, south, east, and west. The circumference is 11 miles. Yep. It was actually used back in like the 1800s when 19 ships of the Spanish treasure fleet were wrecked on the Florida Reef by a hurricane, and some of the survivors who survived this hurricane went to Indian Key until they were rescued. And then Indian Key became known for 100 years, basically, as the shipwreck island. The island started to grow. Like people actually were like, hey, my ship wrecked, but I could hang here. It was very difficult in the 1700s on a ship to navigate around the Florida Keys. Lots of accidents happened because there were little islands that you did not see at night.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was this.
In fact, it was so prevalent back then that it's still difficult today because a month ago, a bunch of Cuban refugees wrecked right off of Islamorada in that boat that we saw sitting there while we were sipping beers on the sandbar.
Yes. Okay.
And they sent them back to Cuba.
Okay. This is crazy. We take our boat that we, got for the day, the private boat. And there's a very well-known area near Islamorada where it's like the party area, the main party sandbar. So we're heading over there, and in the middle of the ocean, but it's close to the shore. It's sticking out of the water. It's a large ship. It's like something you see it's like Pirates of the Caribbean ship. It's a big ship. It
did look like a schooner. I was like, they escaped on this boat?
It was half in.
What the hell century are we in?
So it's half in, half out. We see this ship as we're going to the party sandbar. And I think to myself, okay, this is like one of those ships that like literally crashed, like
Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, or something like
a tropical storm. Yeah.
Right. And like people use it now to like snorkel around or like to scuba dive because, like it starts to become like its own like reef and some artificial reef.
Yeah, divers go to it or whatever. Yeah, sure.
So I have a story in my head. What was your story before you learned what it really was? What was the story?
I actually thought it was just due to inclement weather. Like my money was on hurricane boat.
Okay. My money was that it happened like 70 years ago and, people were now using it
Yeah.
for scuba diving. But anyway, we meet a local at our party sandbar, this guy who's lived there for years. And I just happen to say, hey, what's the story with the boat? And he goes, he's like, that was Cuban immigrants. And I said, from when? And he goes, last month.
Yeah, you could have knocked us over with a feather. That thing
Last
looked like it had been
month?
sitting there for years.
Yeah. I said, what happened? He goes, they crashed. He's like, and they all got sent back to Cuba.
Yep.
I was like, what are they going to do with the boat? He's like, they're going to leave it. He's like, they might come clean it up. They might not. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, because, you read about this in the paper, you hear about it on the news, but we were 1,000 feet from this boat. It was like, I don't know. It bothered me. It bothered me in so many ways. I mean,
of course. I mean, the fact that they were trying to escape and they had to go back and all that. But the other thing, so one side note that we picked up off of that while we were on
they hit a sandbar.
the sea kayak.
That's why they crashed.
Yeah, they hit the sandbar
Yeah.
and crashed. But it is actually a trend where it's like if your boat gets washed away in a hurricane or for whatever the reason, if your boat gets shipwrecked, there's this thing that people do where they strip the serial number off the boats so that if the boat crashes, it gets shipwrecked or whatever, they're not on the hook. Like they just grab a little like kayak or lifeboat or something. They abandon the boat and then it's basically left there in the bay for the government to clean up.
But it doesn't always happen. And
I mean, it's the government. So of course it doesn't always happen. Have you seen the potholes? On every road in America? It doesn't. Yeah, the government is not really taking care of cleaning up the boats, honey.
No. And you know what? It doesn't just, what's interesting is that we saw it less in like more affluent areas. So like for instance, Naples, when we were in Naples, there was one boat that was sticking up out of the water and our boat guy at the time said, oh yeah, who knows if they're going to take that. It was a guy who didn't have insurance, whatever. His Hurricane Ian came and whatever. But what's interesting is the Keys, like I would think if you look around, the place is pretty expensive to live. Yeah. There was more than one boat sticking out of the water. Yeah. I'm like, are they not going to clean this shit up? Like this is the Keys. This is not like,
No. I don't know. I think it takes some time to dig them out, especially in that shallow water. Like, how are you going to get there? Like, you have to, you're going to shipwreck your own government boat trying to get the other boat out?
Okay, but you saw some that were like on the side, on shore, and those were expensive looking boats, and they had been there for a while. Yeah. It's like, they're just going to let it sit there. It's kind of crazy.
Like high school kids are just like smoking dope and drinking and like getting on in their like little motorboats or whatever and going out there and seeing what they can find on these things.
Oh, for sure. No question about it. Yeah. Going back to my story about Indian Key and how, so many boats would wreck near the Keys. And I can't believe it's a state park. It's like been abandoned. They do call it a ghost town now. Like if you read anything about Indian Key, everything like describes it as a ghost town island. Yeah. It's like, why would you make it a state park but then not take care of it?
There's no park ranger there. So I guarantee if people want to go there and hang and camp at night or whatever, they could totally get away with it.
100%. So. They just can't light a fire.
So there you go. There's your travel tip. Enjoy a brutal night on Indian Key.
For sure. There's no shelter. Yeah. There's no shelter at all.
We did walk to we walked to the far shore away from our boat and you go, this is like Survivor type stuff.
It was. There's bamboo broken laying down on the ground. I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Oh my God. I couldn't imagine being naked and afraid there.
No, so, not comfortable.
Not at all. Anyway.
So that was something fun okay, I take that back. That was not fun. The next day he had to pick out stuff on the bottom of my feet.
Yeah, you did. You cut up your feet on the cacti.
Yeah. So.
And then you walked in dirt on the island.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What's up, guys? Just wanted to take a break real quick to jump into one of our listener submissions. We appreciate all the interactions you guys give us on social media. But this week we are highlighting a very special person who has been with us since day one.
Her name is Alicia Castellanos Clark. Alicia, thank you so much for suggesting Durango to James and I. neither one of us have ever been. I actually had to look it up when you mentioned it. I know that you have a home there and you suggested that we should come visit. And
Yeah, never been.
yeah. And so we're both going to actually come to Durango, Colorado and see what it's all about. But you also follow our adventures and you always suggest cool places for us to visit or restaurants for us to try when we're on the road. And we just appreciate it. And I love your interaction. And thank you so much for listening.
Now, back to the show.
So I'm kind of notorious for this game that I like to play. It's not really a game, it's a conversation starter. And I like to do it when we're on the road. And I used to do it with the kids because it was just really nice to keep the conversation going. Otherwise, they'll be on their phones the whole time.
I know what this is. Okay. I know where this is going.
So I have this card something. I'm going to say it's a game, but it's called Table Topics. And it comes in like a plastic container and it is all topics to talk about when you're with friends. It's truly a conversation starter. I started it when the kids were in middle school. We do it like on a pizza night. We just pull a card and ask a question. Like back then it was like I got the topics that were kid related. So it was like, what's your favorite Disney princess? Remember? And then as they got older, I would get different topics. Like some of the topics were pop culture. Others.
Mine is Ariel, by the way.
Mine's Belle.
Anyway, I hijacked your story.
You did. It's okay. But in any case, so I like to bring table topics on the road. I always do it with us. The kids moan and groan, but they generally will partake in it. And it's always a fun conversation starter. And then you realize you're an hour and a half, later on down the road and everyone has to go pee. So on the way back, we drove straight from Key West to Miami.
Yeah.
And that was a long drive. And I decided to bring it on our trip because I knew Carly and Mike would be in the car with us. And there's only so much you can talk about on any given 4-hour road
it's not like
trip.
we didn't just see them in November. So
right,
it's like
right.
we're pretty caught up.
Yeah. So we're going to do table topics right now.
What?
Yeah.
Shit, are you kidding me?
No.
Oh, come on. I already did this.
No, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. So you're going to pull a card.
Are these cards staged as well?
No, these are not staged cards. So I have
get to ask the questions.
I have a baggie of mixed up cards.
We have a very high quality Skip Town accessory bag. For those of you who are just listening,
this is just it's
basically a 10-gallon Ziploc bag.
So just pick one. Just pick one. So don't even look at it. You just have to pick one.
Okay. What
so
do I do?
Pick one. You know how to do this. Don't act like all of a sudden you don't know.
I don't want to be reaching in the bag. No, it's very loud.
Just pick one. So here's what it is. It's just a topic. He's going to pick He's going to pick it out of the bag and he's going to ask me a question and then it gets the conversation going.
What age seems old to you?
90.
90?
Yeah.
Okay.
What age?
You're not going to expand on that at all?
No, I mean, if I was 20, I'd say 40, but I'm 54. So I'm not going to say 60 because that's just like 6 years away.
Well, it was just a dumb question because it's not great content if you're just going to say 90 and be done. Yeah.
This is an example of sometimes the card is just a one-word answer and other times it's more of an explanation. So
what age seems old to you? 65.
Why?
I don't know. I think a lot of people fall off a cliff at 65.
Literally? Like physically fall off a cliff?
No, not literally fall off a cliff. People don't walk to a cliff and fall off a cliff. I don't understand where you're going with that. But
no, I literally meant I thought you meant like people fall off a cliff. I'm like, why? Why at 65 do they fall off a cliff? Do they not see where they're going? Too much
Midsummer.
Okay.
No, I'm saying they just check out and it's like all of a sudden they do the same 3 things every single day. They go to the market.
65.
I don't know. I'm guessing.
Okay.
I don't know.
So that seems old to you.
I don't know. I mean, I think
65's old. Okay.
Yeah, they stop going out in the winter. They stop doing all these things, Okay.
All right, my turn. I'm going to pick a card.
Okay.
All right. Do you believe in ghosts?
I do. Yeah. I don't know. I believe in metaverses. So I think our version of what we think are ghosts are basically just people who have the ability to cross back and forth into different universes, metaverses. Yeah. What about you?
I do. I'm definitely a believer in ghosts. I always have been. 100% I believe in ghosts. I don't believe in aliens, but I believe in ghosts. Anyway. So that gives you a little glimpse into a game or a conversation starter that I love to bring with us wherever we go. And I've been doing this for at least 10 years. It's called Table Topics.
So if you want to torture your family or friends or loved ones with shallow and sometimes deep topics, get yourself a handy bag like this from the Skip Town All Stars website. And inside there, we're also going to send you I'm just kidding. We should wrap this up.
Okay.
What do you say?
Let's do top 5, bottom 5 really quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so do you have a top 5?
I'm not
bottom
totally
5?
fleshed out on mine, no. So I'm gonna lean heavily on your answers.
Okay, so top 5, bottom 5 for the Keys for Denise Gordon. Top 5. My ocean boat rental was incredible. Highly recommend it. The private, they both were nice, but I would say if you only had one choice and you can have someone drive the boat for you, do a private boat ride. You know, we've talked about private tours, private tour guides, private drivers. We like the private thing.
Yeah.
So for us, that was not my number 1. My number 2 top thing about the Florida Keys was the sandbar and the beautiful water. I've only seen it in photos. I've seen it on TV. I have been to the Caribbean, but I haven't been in the middle of the ocean like I was this time around. And the water is just stunning, beautiful. I loved it.
It's crazy to be surrounded by nothing but water and to be standing on a sandbar. It's pretty nuts.
It is. It was incredible.
Cool.
It was a great experience. Number 3, there are no corporate hotels. I love that. I love that they try to keep it simple. As like, you know, surly and sassy as that woman was. Look, she was proud of the fact that like they've kept corporate America out of the Keys. They'll take your money, but they don't want any corporations there.
At least on Islamorada, yeah.
Islamorada, for sure. Number 4, I love that we stayed in those cottages. So I would recommend Chesapeake Bay Resort, but it's not a resort. Don't get confused. It's just a hotel, and ask for the cottages.
Ask for the cottages.
Yeah. Number 5 was being with our friends Carly and Mike.
Yeah.
I really thought that they rounded out the trip really nicely. They were fun to hang with. They were up for anything. And those are the kind of people you want to travel with.
Yeah.
So I was just super grateful. They flew all the way from Los Angeles to spend a nice long weekend with us. It was just really special.
Respect. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So my bottom 5. Okay. The people that work there are really dumb. So that's number 1. Anywhere we went, anyone we talked to, no one knew anything. I don't know what that is. I don't know why. I have no idea. But in the hotel, no one knew anything. In the boat rental, no one knew anything. Nice as could be, just dumb. No one knew their surroundings. No one knew anything about Islamorada. Like, it was crazy. You would ask questions like, I don't know. And I'm like, do you not live here? Do you not work here? Number 2, our food experience. To me, that was a huge turnoff to make it a monthly or even like, what's the word when you do something all the time?
Frequent?
Yeah, frequent visit. Like, we can't make it a frequent visit because the food is so expensive. Hotels come down in price, but food does not. Number 3 was a 1-lane highway. Like, to me, I'm like, how do you do this? So it could cause a lot of problems in your vacation. So if you're on a really short weekend and you just want to get in and out, do not go to the Keys. Plan accordingly.
It's going to be really hard to do in 2 days.
Yeah. My friend who lives in Delray Beach kept saying to me, you're cutting it close because it's a 1-lane highway. Are you sure you want to just go for 3 or 4 days? She's like, you could get stuck on the highway for many hours. I didn't get it until I got there, and then I got it. And we did not get stuck, but boy, it could easily happen. Number 4, as much as I like Chesapeake Bay, it wasn't a resort. Check with your concierge when you're booking a room in the Keys, anywhere in the Keys. Make sure it has all the amenities you want, because what you may want, they may not have, and you will just assume they do, and you're going to be
on that 1-lane highway, driving 2 miles down the road
without an umbrella
every time you want a cup of coffee or something.
Yep, so exactly.
We had no restaurant, no bar, anything in ours. So there are plenty within walking distance, but
yeah, and no umbrella. Like, I can't say that enough. There was no umbrella. How do you have a beachfront with no umbrella? Like, I'm sorry, I'm white. I just am very pale.
Yeah, we get it. We understand when we see you.
Yeah. Okay, my 5th of my bottom 5. This is the last one. When you're booking a trip to the Keys, make sure you are fully aware there's not a lot to do on some of these islands at night. Islamorada, for instance, there's nothing to do at night. And there's really nothing to do during the day if you are not on the ocean. It's just that simple. Key West, a little different. It's like James said, a downtown. So yes, there's more of a nightlife. They're open till 4 a.m, the bars. So if you're looking for an island that would provide a little bit more activity than just plain water sports, Key West might be the island for you. Yeah. But I would say definitely research what you're interested in, because Islamorada literally had nothing but water activities, and nighttime was very quiet. So you gotta make sure that you're an outdoor person before you book this trip to the Keys.
Okay. My top 5, I echo a lot of yours, so I'm not going to repeat them. But the top 5s that I wanted to mention were the lighthouse. When we took the boat out off the shore of Islamorada. You can see it from the shore. You can't miss it. It's really great. There are other lighthouses up and down the coast, as we found. I don't know what the rest of them are like on other keys. I just know the one on Islamorada was really great. And if you can swim and you want to jump off the boat in 20 to 30 foot water that's crystal blue, throw on your goggles or whatever, you can see everything below you. It's pretty pristine. It's great. It's fantastic.
Agreed.
I like seafood, so that's my number 2. I love the fact that there's fish in every single restaurant. You can still get steak there if you're not seafood inclined. So if you have somebody in your group or, in your partnership that isn't so into the scallops and the grouper and the yellowtail and all that stuff, you can definitely get steaks and burgers and chicken and all that stuff. So I love the tropical feel. It really is the gateway to the Caribbean, and you can feel it when you're there. It feels unlike any other part of Florida that I've ever been. I was going to say the people there are really nice. I didn't have to deal with liquor lady like you did.
I didn't think the people there were nice.
You didn't think so?
Even the girl at Publix when I got the sandwich, she was so unhappy. That was going to be one of my bottom 5s. I didn't think people there were that nice.
Okay, well, so I'm going to get to that.
You had a different experience.
No, let me jump into the bad then. I think one of the reasons that you run into people who are moody or dour or whatever the word is, it's because a lot of the workers on these islands cannot afford to live there, and they have to drive an hour and a half each way to work up and down that road to get to Homestead, Florida.
I know that doesn't make you dumb though. That doesn't make
you don't live in that area, you're not going to know directions to every place. That's your job. If you're
working at a boat company and you're renting boats, you should know where.
But with 800 islands and somebody says, "Where's Indian Key?" Okay, Indian Key, they should have known. They should have definitely known. But with 800 islands there,
James,
I mean, come on, we're talking about 20-year-old burners who are renting out these boats. What could you possibly expect with that much geography?
If they're stoned, fine. That's different.
With that much geography and them actually residing an hour and a half away, and this is literally just their job. They know how to run boats. They wash the boats. They put gas in the boats. They can tell you how to drive the boats, where to pull them up, and all that other stuff. And they know where the lighthouse. Everybody just goes there to party. So many people just go to their party. You are probably the only lady who wanted to explore Indian Key. Okay,
fine. Okay,
and once we were on the island, I could see why.
Okay.
But everybody else just wants to go to the lighthouse. They want to go to the sandbar. They want to cruise around, and they want to. How do I prevent from getting washed out to Cuba? Right.
Okay.
And those are the 3 questions that they get all day, every day.
So maybe it's not dumb, it's just indifferent.
Yeah. I think there's got to be a smart entrepreneur there who can build somewhat affordable housing for people who work on these keys to live there so they don't have to drive as far. It's got to be so dangerous. And, one of them stops off after work to have a beer with one of their friends or whatever. And it's now they got to drive an hour and a half with an IPA in their bloodstream, and it's not good for anyone.
Yeah, agreed. It's terrible.
So that's really my only I had a great time. Oh, it's expensive as hell. That's my other one. It's expensive as hell. Seriously. Oh my God, I got to book some work anyway to make up for Key West. But that's it. Those are my only 2 drawbacks.
My suggestion is plan it on off season. I would go back, and we will go back. We're just going to pick a different time of the year, and we're probably going to do it a little bit more economically when it comes to food. We'll just have to research that a tiny bit more and see if there are more reasonable choices. All right. So a couple things that I want to mention is please, if you haven't yet, check our link tree. We have it on our social media, and we also have it on our YouTube channel. We also have it on our website, and the link tree always has Google Sheets, and the Google Sheets will show you exactly where we went on our trip. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but I think I need to just remind people weekly that if you really are interested in where we stayed, check it out on Linktree, because I'll have a Google Sheet and it will outline for you exactly where we went. It's a map, and it puts dots on every single location we ate, and also where we sightseed, and also where we stayed.
Sightseed? Is that a verb?
I think it is.
Sightsaw?
Seed. SEED, right? Sightseed?
I think.
What would it be? Did I just make that?
Sightseeing.
Did I just make that up?
I think so. Sightseed. I'm pretty sure that's not. There's
all right. Let me take that back. So how do I say that?
Sightseed. I sightseen it.
Okay, forget that. So just check out the Google Sheet with all the locations.
And subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe. Share our podcast.
Yes.
We are out on the loose as empty nesters.
Take a minute and write a review for us on Apple Podcasts, or leave just a rating on Spotify. It goes a long way. It really does.
You have no idea what one review or rating can do. And it sounds like the next weekend getaway is on me, huh? So I guess you should prepare for some index cards. I don't want to tip my hat too far. I'm not going to do the same thing on every index card. I think I've already figured out my method is going to be something you'll hate and something you'll really hate, especially when I take Denise drag racing for my weekend getaway.
It'll just be like our normal trip in the car.
Take them out.
Empty nest, full tank.
See you guys next week.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.